We are previewing UFC 163 here at SBRForum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and we are talking with returning guest Nick Kalikas, professional MMA odds maker. His website is MMAoddsbreaker.com. Now we're going to talk about Tom Watson and Thales Leites. Now, Watson's minus 145 that I'm seeing at 5 dimes. Leites about plus 115. And, Watson, kind of an up-and-comer, got fight of the night and knockout of the night in his last fight. And Leites hasn't fought in more than a year. He's returning to the UFC after being gone for 4 years. He was released after 2 terrible fights. Some people are saying, why do they even bring him back? Are they feeding Watson a win here? I don't know, but if they are, maybe minus 145 is the way to go.
Well, it's a tough one, though, honestly, because this is an interesting fight. Now, I opened Leites as a slight favorite, minus 140. And believe it or not, the line's been bouncing back and forth. So that 145 that you're reading right now could very well drop back down to a pick 'em here. It's kind of still a fresh line, and they're getting a tremendous amount of support early on by both fighters. So a lot of two-way action. Now, of course, the limits aren't 5K like they would be on fight day, but still, I mean, at max bets, they're getting back and forth action. So you're going to see the line kind of flip back and forth near pick 'em, though.
All right. Well, I mean, Leites, he hasn't fought in more than a year. He got kicked out of the UFC for, 2 lackluster fights. Why'd you open him as a favorite?
Well, honestly, he's the better fighter, period. I think he's got the well-rounded skill set. Now, the question with this fight is he going to be able to get the fight to the floor and work his ground game? Because that's ideally the way he's going to win this fight.
Right.
And a lot of people believe that his takedowns suck, basically. That's why they're betting on Watson, those that are betting on Watson. And he's not going to get the takedowns. And on the feet, Watson has a clear advantage. And I believe that's the case as well. But the thing that scares me a little bit about Leites is when he gets opportunities to capitalize, when somebody makes a mistake, he tends to take advantage of it. And like I said, skill set for skill set, Leites is the better fighter. The fight is in Brazil, too. So this is a tricky fight to bet. You got to be careful here with either guy that you support because I could see it. It really all depends on the takedown defense from Watson. If he could keep this fight on the feet, then obviously he's going to have an advantage. Even though Leites isn't, I guess, he's better than your typical only grappler because he does have a little bit of skill on the feet, but that's not where he wants to stay with Watson. Watson's a very dangerous fighter, but there's also a question mark in Watson's cardio. I mean, both these guys tend to fade a little bit, but if I had to say that one fades a little bit more, it'd be Watson. I mean, against Nedkov, he went out there and blew his wad early.
Yeah. So do you think that the line, that the public might be betting this a little bit more because he got fight of the night and knockout of the night in his last fight? I mean, do you tend to see that when someone gets those kinds of awards, their next fight, they get overbet by the public?
Maybe a little bit. I don't think that factors in greatly. You know what? You have to, I think, really acknowledge the fact of Tom Watson's improvement more than anything else. I mean, the guy is, again, one of those UK fighters that, early part of his career, he had so many holes in his game. I didn't really think he was going to amount to much, but since he made it over to Jackson's in the U.S. and started taking the sport a lot more serious and surrounding himself with solid training partners, you could really see that he does have a lot of potential and a lot of talent as well. So I think that more so than anything, the level of improvement, he's kind of closing those holes that I mentioned earlier. His wrestling's getting better offensively and defensively. And, of course, on the feet, he's always been a threat. But now he's defining his technique a little bit more, and I think that he's definitely a lot more of a threat. So his whole game has improved since he moved to the U.S. training with Jackson's or whatnot. I think that's helped him tremendously. So that's what, more than anything else, I think the public is supporting Watson for.
All right, so then maybe it sounds like you're saying, like, right now you'd say that Leites is the better fighter, but that maybe after this fight you wouldn't be surprised at all if Watson comes in and proves that he's made a substantial improvement.
Well, that's the hardest thing to gauge about this fight, is Watson's improvement. Because you see a lot of guys, coming in to the fights with different leaps and bounds of improvement. And Watson's one of the guys, again, out of the UK that's really, I think, probably the last few years progressed the most. Him and Brad Pickett, he's not on this card, obviously, but he's another one that comes in mind that I think early in their career really wasn't much. But then with hard work, with surrounding himself again with solid training partners, he's improved and got himself where he needs to be. So, yeah, definitely a lot of respect with Watson there.
So do you think that there's going to be any big sharp action that comes in late, or do you think they'll probably stay off of it?
I think this is, again, a very hard fight for most to bet. I think it could go either way. So I think a lot of the sharp action is going to probably stay away from this fight, and we're going to continue to see some two-way action back and forth on this fight.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick.